aware of everyone's timing today, and this is the lunch hour, so Amanda will continue to let people in, but we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you for being here. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Natasha Bowles-Hamer, founder and fractional COO of NBPS Virtual Solutions and Director of Program Management for the ATL Airport Chamber. And this is my special guest. Can you see the elephant in the room? So thank you for joining us today for this most important conversation, the myth of the minority mascot. This is a topic I've seen play out in organizations of every size. Many businesses want to be seen as diverse and inclusive, but unintentionally reduce minority employees into symbols instead of fully empowered leaders. Today, I want to challenge us to look honestly at where our organizations may fall into this trap and how we can move from optics to equity. So drop a message in the chat or come off mute and tell me what brought you here today. Hello, Rich. I just saw you pop in. Would you like to come off mute and tell us what brought you to this particular talk today?
So what brought me here? You.
Well, thank you.
No, the topic, really the topic. Yes. It's really interesting. So I look forward to your presentation.
All right. Well, I know that you represent a lot of organizations and businesses in your area. Do you find this is a problem with people that the minority employees are being seen as a mascot?
Well, again, a lot of my background has to do with supply diversity, and working. That's how I came to Atlanta. So I hear a lot of different things these days, especially with the present administration. So I would say yes, and so that's why I'm looking forward.
All right, cool. Does anyone else want to come off of mute and share before I move on? I'm also giving people a chance to get in. Okay. All right, so why this discussion matters right now. So this discussion is urgent because, as Mr. Wilkins just said, DEI is under attack, and some of our actions are actually fueling the flames. We've seen programs rolled back in higher education, government, and business. Executive orders have even targeted DEI at the federal level. The message that's being sent, diversity is optional, equity is negotiable, and the argument that's being made is that it's being misused. Now, I know, and you know, that there are a lot of qualified candidates out there that are not given the opportunity to be seen as an equal candidate without DEI initiatives, even if they are an equal hire. But the argument is that it gives opportunity to unqualified candidates. Some of this is because organizations under pressure often fall back on tokenism, using a few minority employees as proof of inclusion while avoiding deeper change. And that's what leaves room for pushback on these needed programs. So that's the essence of the minority mascot myth. Have any of you experienced this?
Well, I haven't experienced it, but I've heard enough about it.
What are some things that you've heard?
Well, in terms of course, and I'll give you an example. The gentleman that I work with in supply diversity, he for many years he had, I think, 20 contracts, and he's down to 3 because they're all kind of pushing back, so wait to see what's going to be happening with the present administration. And so it's affecting his business, but it's also affecting individuals that work for him, and the beat goes on.
Right. And it leaves us feeling very, what can we do about it? And so that's where this kind of comes in of examining, like, how are we fueling the flames to this? Like, what can we do to make sure that there isn't any room to attack the DEI initiatives that isn't just absolutely ridiculous? So the stakes are high for employees. Mascot culture causes burnout, isolation, and stalled careers, as you just pointed out. For organizations, it damages trust, reputation, and leads to lack of innovation. So here's our elephant in the room. When companies mishandle DEI hiring, it fuels the narrative that DEI is about hiring unqualified people, but that's not true. DEI is about leveling the playing field. But when the leaders treat diverse hires as tokens instead of top talent, it opens the door for attack. And that's why we're going to talk about what is a minority mascot. So let's define it clearly. A minority mascot is when a company highlights an employee's identity as proof of diversity, but doesn't give them influence, advancement, or decision-making power. Maybe it's the one Black employee who's always in the marketing photos, but never in the leadership pipeline. The Hispanic employee who's sent to every community event, but excluded from promotions. The woman that was celebrated as the first, but never supported to succeed. And here's the elephant. Sometimes leaders don't even realize they're doing this. They confuse visibility with inclusion, but visibility without power is exploitation. So here are the 3 myths at the heart of this issue. Myth 1, representation equals inclusion. Reality, true inclusion means voice, influence, and belonging. Checking a box is just not enough. We're going to have to do better than checking boxes. Myth 2, visibility equals value. Just because someone is showcased in photos or events does not mean they're valued internally. Too often, employees become brand shields instead of decision makers. If we really want to see DEI hires being taken seriously as qualified candidates, then we need to let them be the qualified candidates. And myth 3, first equals progress. So celebrating the first is meaningful. It is very meaningful. I mean, Atlanta is a city of first, but it's not true progress if there's no second, third, or pathway behind them for others to come up with them. So our elephant in the room is that it's easier to celebrate optics than dismantle systems. And for us to have true change and true pushback on what is happening right now, we're going to have to dismantle systems. So the cost of mascot culture. So let's talk about how mascot culture has a cost. As I said earlier, for employees, it leads to burnout, isolation, and pressure to carry the weight of representing an entire group. It also can block advancement. For organizations, it's just as costly because it has increased turnover, loss of trust, harm to their reputation, and as I said earlier, missed innovation. And it creates lack of trust in the whole system that is meant to level the playing field. As talent sees through it, the elephant in the room, many companies believed optics are enough, but employees aren't fooled and they leave. And when they leave, they don't walk out quietly, they take credibility with them. Credibility to the company and credibility to the DEI initiative itself. So how do we move forward? We move forward by shifting our mindset, providing the diverse hiring, proving that diverse hiring is about top talent, skilled workers, and talented leaders goes a long way in debuting the myth of, well, we needed a certain race or sex to fill this role. Representation must lead to redistribution of power. Don't just invite employees into the room, give them influence. Visibility must translate into value. Don't just showcase people, promote them, pay them equitably, develop them, stand behind your hire so there's no question if they were qualified. And being the first must lead to the framework for many. Celebrating pioneers is powerful, but it has to open doors for others to follow. So let's name the elephant in the room here. This isn't about quotas or lowering standards. It's about removing barriers so talent can rise. But just getting the interview or just trying to make a quota or check a box of hiring a minority person, it doesn't help change the system if we just hire them and we don't actually raise them up. So anybody have any experience with this that they want to share at this level? Okay.
Well, I don't have anything to share with that, but I have something that I would say that when we talk about corporations, I think that their customer base should match their supplier base or their employee base. If 80% of your business is coming from people of color, what's the problem in terms of having that representation within your employment at any other of the types? So that's just my 2 cents.
No, I think that's a really good point, Mr. Wilkinson. And I think that can lead to a larger diversity in your customer base. So not only are you hurting yourself by not having representation in your staff, you're keeping yourself from getting clients that would come and work with someone that looked more like them or felt more like them or had the experience as them, like to this company if I'm not represent. So that is all really good. So what does this look like practically? So let's audit who gets invited to decision-making spaces. We want to create sponsorship, not just mentorship, because sponsorship is what moves careers forward. We want to build feedback loops so minority employees can speak candidly and make sure that feedback drives change. So we want to tie DEI progress to leadership performance. If leaders aren't accountable, nothing changes. And yes, we want to celebrate milestones. We don't want to stop there. We want the work to be ongoing. So the future of DEI is unclear right now, but it's still needed. The younger generation is demanding authenticity. They won't tolerate performative inclusion. Companies that go beyond optics and embrace true equity will gain talent, trust, and loyalty. And as I said, a whole new customer base if they have the employees to really match the customers they're going after. And those that don't will lose credibility, retention, and long-term relevance. So I feel like I kind of sped through this. It's been a huge discussion, but let's recap the big ideas. So representation without equity is just optics. Minority employees are not mascots. They're innovators, leaders, and culture builders. And the authentic inclusion is not only right, it's smart. It drives performance, progress, and resilience. So would anyone like to at this point come off mute and just talk a little bit about some experiences or how you feel about what we've discussed? Like if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. I want to invite discussion here. Let's talk. Hello, Howard. How are you? Welcome. Coach Greta, do you have anything you would like to share? I know you do a lot of business coaching and things like that with people. Are you running into this with your clients? All right, guys.
Well, no, you. Maybe people are on mute. I can't see that.
Hey,
Yeah.
Natasha,
Yes,
can
ma'am.
you hear me?
I can. I can
Okay, yes.
hear
So
you now.
Okay, I'll let you go,
I
Coach
was,
Greta.
in my, thank you. I'm in my car, so my apologies. I'm listening because I didn't want to miss this. Can you see me?
I can.
Yes. So I don't normally use Zoom. Okay, I don't normally use Zoom from my phone, but I'm like, I don't want to miss this. And I want to say that I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying. I have experienced it. My training company has been very much involved in the federal government space, and all of my clients lost all of their employees because they lost all of their contracts in March. So, and I've been working with these people since 2013. So it has greatly impacted my business. I have, it's really sad. Many of them are working for the VA or the CDC. I've done a lot of training at the Pentagon. So it's been very interesting what's going on. So I totally concur with what you've been saying. And I'm glad that you're bringing this up. I do think that, one of the things that I think can be helpful is that it's very important for us to all come together. Like to me, it just represents an opportunity for people to be more mindful of their neighbors, of relatives, of other business owners, because that's the only way I think that we're going to be able to move past it and beyond it. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. And thank you for coming off of mute. I appreciate that. Be safe.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm good. I am safe. I am safe. I just did not want to miss it because I think it's a very relevant dialogue that needs to be had, and I'm glad that you had it on the calendar to do it, and I didn't want to miss the live version of it. So thank you for doing it.
Thank you. And I agree. I think it's such an important conversation to have. And also, like, there's a lot of things we can't change at the highest level. But as we've been discussing throughout this um, the slides and everything, what can we change and how are we feeling and where are we giving them the weapons to attack with? And I think that having, real discussions about not only do you have minority employees in your company, but what is the ratio of, as Rich said, what is the ratio of your customer base? What is the ratio of your leadership team? What is the ratio of your, I mean, are we really utilizing the talent that we have? Dr. Morant, I saw you pop back in. I know you run the women's think tank, and women are often underpaid and undervalued in a lot of roles. What are your thoughts? Do you mind coming off mute and sharing?
I'm just coming on and I didn't hear the question.
Oh, so the question was, we were talking about the myth and minority web mascot, and we were talking about a little bit about how one of the problems and one of the reasons that we've opened up, we've given the argument that DEI is not something that we need, is because a lot of organizations under pressure fall back on tokenism, and they use the minority employees as a proof of inclusion, but they avoid deeper change, and that's where we leave room for pushback, because even though we're hiring the women and the different races and the different communities, we're not giving them actual power in the organizations.
Well, yeah, I guess that's true to some degree. My thoughts are, as we muddle around in where we are now, and even as we move forward, I'm just thinking we don't need to label things as we do. I think labeling this takes away from what we're doing and who we are and what we're trying to achieve. So, and I just got off of a call with one of my board members now, because we're planning to have a workshop in November around this same topic. We just haven't come up with a theme yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just thinking, just not labeling things like we used to. That's just my thought.
So what are,
I'm
sorry.
sorry. No,
Go ahead.
I wanted her to expound upon what labeling. I'm not sure I understand. I understand labeling, but I'm not sure how it applies here.
The diversity, the DEI has gotten just a lot of, just a lot of pushback. And so instead of labeling diversity, equity, and inclusion, let's look at doing that type of those types of initiatives without that labeling. I mean, it's why I think a lot of the women in federal government lost their positions, because they were categorized in that DEI sphere. So I'm thinking we just need to get away from, do what we're going to do, but get away from the labeling aspect of it.
Well, I know a lot of people are changing the label. I know the chamber itself is changing. Instead of saying DEI, we've now switched to inclusive economics, and that's not really we're trying to shift away from the race and the sex and all of that, and shift to community, representing community, inclusive economics, and giving all the communities equal share. So, Dr. Morant, I was wondering, like, what are your thoughts on if we did do away with the labels and the DEI initiatives to say you have to have so many of the certain minorities within your company and stuff like that? How do we label the playing field? Like, how do we level the playing field and make sure that there is equal opportunity everywhere? What are your thoughts on that?
That's what we're researching now, because that's exactly what we're planning to do at our workshop. So at this point, I don't want to answer that because we haven't done the research in that area, but that's where, as a think tank, and in and working to empower different women's organizations. That's what we're looking at doing. How do we do the same thing, but with a different type of label that doesn't just pull us out pretty much from the rest of the community? It's kind of like what we're doing here now. It's time for different strategies. And so we got to put forth what's really going to work in our society.
Well, I like that. I think what, again, I add that your customer base, your supplier base, meaning who you purchase from or who you hire, should match your customer base. And if
Yeah.
they don't, these organizations don't understand that, then, our little feet can walk and with our purses, our dollars, and that'll help them without even announcing it. They'll know, whereas that we have to help them, love them through the process by helping them understand that we make a difference in their bottom line.
And I think that goes back to the topic of what I wanted to put before you guys today. Of we have to start valuing all of our hires as equitable within our company. Like, are we promoting fairly? Are we paying fairly? Are we doing all the things to really not just check a box, but also bring these leaders into leadership positions? So I would love to hear from everyone else. We have time, and I would love to. This is a great discussion, and it is very needed at this time, and something that we are going to have to figure out. And I think it's going to take thought leaders and community leaders and business owners to figure it out, because I don't think it's going to be figured out at a government level.
Yes, but in the meantime, Natasha, we need to be supporting each other, since this is taking place. So whether it's Hispanics, Asians, etc., that are being targeted, so then we need to be doing business with each other and building better communities there. And that also means that it's going to affect their bottom line. They'll begin to take a good look at their behavior based on what the present atmosphere is, and show some leadership, as to that it's their company and they can run it the way they want. They do not have to have fear of backlash as a result of making good, solid leadership decisions. That's just my 2 cents.
No, I love that. And I think that is a good point also. Like, we as the consumer also need to start supporting across the lines. Like, we need to support all of the community businesses, and we need to support all of the small business and the different communities and things like that, to show that we are, like, we have faith in them. We have confidence in them. We feel like the minority business owner or the, female business owner, without, like you said, without putting a label on it, Dr. Morant, we can just go to these businesses and support them and show our support, through our consumerism. And that's where you do definitely hit them in the pocketbook, when you show it through how you purchase and how you interact, and how we support each other in the communities. Bobby, I saw you pop in a while ago. I would love to hear your thoughts. I know you missed most of my talk, but we were just talking about the myth of the minority mascot, and we were talking about how a lot of the stuff that's happening with DEI, even though we don't really have a lot of control at the national level or the government level of what is happening with all of this. What are we doing as a community, as business owners, as corporations, to really level the playing field and make it equal? And as Dr. Morant said, what are we doing to maybe not make the label so necessary in the future, because it just comes naturally for us to hire diverse and inclusive with everyone?
Right. And I did not catch the front end of it, but thank you so much for offering me the opportunity to speak. I appreciate that. The one thing that I was thinking about, and I certainly agree with the parts that I did hear Rich speak of, but at the Cascade Business and Merchants Association, Cascade BMA, we actually host annual network luncheons where we invite all of the businesses within our Cascade Road corridor to come out and support one another and to just share the creative things that they're doing in their hiring process and to promote the unity as well as the support of each other's business. Because I think I heard you or Rich or someone say that as it relates to the government, there's only so much that they can or will do. So we're really responsible. We have to assume the responsibility of doing the right thing the righteous way.
I agree. And I love that. So does anyone else have anything they'd like to, this is a great discussion. Does anyone else have anything that they would like to share?
Yeah, one of the things that I can remember, Chick-fil-A, for instance, and them being approached about supplier diversity. I'm telling this story, but because I've experienced it, and they said that supplier diversity was great, but they weren't doing what they're doing by doing more business with, as we refer to as minority businesses. They were doing it, they said, because it was the right thing to do. They didn't have to be told that. And so that is what I call leadership within these corporations and companies. It's the right thing to do because your customer base, again, matches that. So there it is.
I love that.
So
And
how do you,
I agree with that totally. And that's why I use the phrase the right and the righteous, because there is a difference in right and righteousness. You can do the right thing all day according to the rules and the guidelines of the organization. But the righteous thing of doing it is to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And you can kind of get away from that mindset of the DEI or the ethnic group of the individuals who are on your team. Just do the right and the righteous thing.
Dr. Morant, did I hear you start to say something?
Yes, I just wonder, how do you get to the point? But I think Bobby's already answered that. How do you get to the point of the Home Depots as an example, the Lowe's, the major corporations? How do you get to a point of having their leadership do the DEI thing without it actually being labeled as such? And then on our end, do we look at different types of career fields? How does that change, as an example, for all the thousands of women who lost jobs due to their working in DEI?
That's really an interesting question. It's an interesting conundrum too. I know a lot of women that I've spoken to recently are going into business for themselves in the private sector, and that just circles back to what we've all been talking about of supporting these businesses as they're creating. I mean, I think entrepreneurship is going to be a big key in leveling the playing field to kind of get it started of doing it the righteous thing as opposed to the right thing. And I love that. And I think that we need to have more discussions like this. And I think we need to have more talk around that, more talk around, as Bobby said, the righteous thing as opposed to the right thing.
So Natasha, to add to that, everybody can't be an entrepreneur or a business owner, I think, in adding to that, but they can be an entrepreneur. And if you ever heard of that terminology, an
I have.
entrepreneur is a person that comes and they may come with a particular product and work under the banner of the corporation itself or the company itself. And so, and they're responsible for that product and how it moves and the profitability of that product, but they're not an entrepreneur. So they still have that security of the banner of the entrepreneur. And so the entrepreneurship is another way that they can play because they come with a whole lot of background, a lot of knowledge.
Definitely. Okay. Well, this has been a great discussion. I really appreciate you guys so much. Would anyone else like to share any other thoughts before I close?
Kind of like, where do we go from here? You represent a very large and powerful, influential organization, and not putting you on the spot. And it may be a subject that I think we may need to circle back around to, maybe in another few weeks. But where do we go from here is the question. And I can answer that after we kind of get together with our next plant meeting on us pursuing this topic.
I love that. I would love to hear where your think tank goes with this, and I would love to, and I would love to put the support because, as you know, the ATL Airport Chamber, we really are. We're a regional chamber. We start within the gates of the airport, and we go all the way down to Henry County. So we cross a lot of communities, and we also have, because we are connected to the largest airport in the world, the busiest airport in the world, we have a lot of global influence. So I think you're absolutely right. I don't think it's putting us on the spot to say that we need to be thought leaders, and our companies need to be, you know, action leaders in this discussion. So
okay, great. I'll circle back around to you, and
for
definitely
sure
feel that we need to pursue this topic.
Yes,
in more
ma'am. Yes,
detail.
ma'am. I would love to circle back with a where do we go from here, and I would like to leave you today with the thoughts of sharing with me if this has inspired you to a where we go from here. Please circle back with me and let's have a discussion and let's get another talk on the book. So I'll leave you guys with this. The myth of the minority mascot is just that. It's a myth. Real equity requires action, and action is the only defense against mistrust and fear. So I thank you very much for your time today. I loved the discussion. I do definitely want to circle back on a where we go from here talk. And of course, you know, I'd love to continue this conversation beyond today. You can find me on LinkedIn at Natasha being WW or at NBPSvirtualsolutions.com. And of course, you can always see me on the rooftop at the Kempton Overland Hotel on Thursday evenings. And tomorrow we have a lunch and learn at the 4 Point Sheraton off of Camp Creek Parkway with Dr. Kim McNair. She's going to be talking about up-leveling your business. And I wish I'd have put the flyer up so I could see it. But all of these events are on airportchamber.com under the events page. We have a lot of really good stuff coming up. I am getting it all uploaded today, but we have all of our programming through the end of the year, all of our sponsored Landing at Sixes, all of our lunch and learns, and all of our Wednesday wisdoms have been uploaded. So please go to airportchamber.com, the event, look on events, and sign up for the discussions that we need to have, because that's really what we want to do most with this peer-to-peer learning, is open the door for tough discussions and our little friend to come into the room. All right. Thank you very much. Anybody have anything they want to close with? Anyone have anything coming up they want to share that you might want to invite people to?
Oh, I'll see you tomorrow.
I will see you tomorrow, Mr. And that's another thing. So we are partnering. I would like to say our lunch and learn tomorrow with Dr. McNair. We have partnered with the Cascade BMA, and we also partnered with the Camp Creek Business Association, because we definitely want these organizations to know about these discussions and these opportunities to have this peer-to-peer learning and have have access to these consultants and subject matter experts that you might not have access to otherwise. So that's a really important thing, and I think that's a big thing in us making major shifts in how we're hiring and how we're utilizing our staff. So thank you very much for coming. I am going to go ahead and give you back your lunch break. I appreciate it. If anyone has any questions or needs anything, you can email me at natasha@airportchamber.com. Please feel free, before we end the thing, to put your contact information in the chat so people can network with you. And I will see as many of you as possible tomorrow for lunch and for the Landing at 6 on the rooftop. All right, thank you.
All right. Bye-bye for now.